There have been several potential crises and many moments where the credibility, even the very existence of the Truth Commission, were at threat. More often than not, the priest to the nation, Chairperson of the Truth Commission, Desmond Tutu, diffused these moments. Other prominent citizens could probably have done his job too, but the Archbishop has given the Truth Commission that little extra in compassion and credibility. I spoke to Bishop Tutu earlier in the week about the last 2 years of truth and reconciliation. He also had an important message for the victims of the past. There must be thousands of victims out there who have given their statements and who have given their testimony, who want to know what the Truth Commission has in store for them. Would you talk to them for us?
Thank you. I am grateful to TRC Special Report for this opportunity they are giving us in their last program to address those of you, especially the victims and survivors who have come to the Commission. We want to thank all of you who have come forward to make statements about your experiences and those of others in your community. Thank you for telling your story so that the country could know what happened in the past, so that the wounds might be healed. You have paid a very heavy price for our freedom and for the peaceful transition. May we never devalue that freedom. As well as thanking you, I want to use this opportunity to explain what will be happening in the closing months of the TRC for victims and survivors who have come to the Commission. Firstly, very soon there will be a public announcement that the regulations and the application form for interim reparations have been published in the Government Gazette. Interim reparations refer to the one-time grant that will be paid to victims or dependents who have suffered hardship and are in need. It will be a one-off payment, which will normally be a maximum of 2,000 Rand, and it is really designed to enable you to access services such as medical services you may need. This payment is designed only to give limited help while the government and parliament are discussing their final decision on reparations, which they are likely to make only after we have closed down. Secondly, the Human Rights Violations Committee of the TRC is making findings on each of the more than 20,000 statements which you have made to us. The committee has to corroborate every single statement before it can declare whether you are a victim of a gross human rights violation or not. It has made 11,400 findings so far and aims to complete the remaining findings by the end of May. Please don't rush to phone or visit TRC offices when you hear that the reparations form has been published in the Gazette, or when you hear that the first findings are being sent out. It will take us some time to get to each of your statements. Next, as soon as the reparation application form has been approved by the government and we have made a finding that you are a victim or a dependent of a victim, we will send you a letter telling you of our finding and enclosing an application form. If you are found not to be a victim, please remember that this does not mean, for instance, that you are not a victim of apartheid. It means you don't fall into the category of victim prescribed by Parliament in the law. Also, if you are found not to be a victim, we are making plans so that you can appeal against the decision if you want to. Once we have received your reparations application form, the Reparation and Rehabilitation Committee of the TRC will consider each form. If you have suffered hardship and are in particular need, they will refer your application to the President's Fund for urgent attention and payment. Then the President's Fund, not the TRC, will urgently make interim reparations payments to those who qualify. To sum up, you, the victims and survivors, have been incredibly patient with us. Please be patient for us a few weeks longer. Once the reparations application form has been approved by the government, and once a finding has been made on your statement, we will send you our finding and the application form. Finally, I want to emphasize that interim reparations are just one part of a 5-point proposal for final reparations and rehabilitation, which we will be sending to the President in our final report at the end of July. Before we close down, we will be publishing a booklet in all official languages, which will be sent to you and which will contain an outline of our final suggestions. After that, it will be up to the President, the government, and Parliament to make the final decisions about what sort of reparations the country can afford. God bless you.
Thank you, Father. This is also the last program of the special report on the Truth and Reconciliation process. I think it's our number 87.
Sure.
It's a long time we've lived with this process. And we're looking back tonight, and we want you to look back with us. And basically, first thing I would say, are you happy that we're much closer to the truth today compared to April 2 years ago?
Before I answer that question, I would want to say on behalf of all of us, heartiest congratulations to you and to your team on winning the Pringle Award and the Foreign Correspondence Award for your work with the TRC, and really a very warm thank you for having helped with others of your colleagues in radio and in the print media to bring the TRC to the people where it belongs. Yes, I would say that largely we have been able to uncover the truth. You need just to think of, say, the PEPCO 3, the sort of things that we now know, or the bombing of Khotso House, or the Craddock 4, and perhaps most heart-rendingly, you might refer to the exhumations of people who were killed secretly and buried secretly, and what all of that has meant to their families. We wish we could have done a great deal more. We suffer still in South Africa from a view that judges somehow, just because they have become judges, are set on a pedestal and beyond criticism. I can quite understand the importance of their independence, but they speak as if they are not, first of all, human beings who are formed by the society in which they live, that there are people who came out of homes that regarded black people as not equal to white people. Now, a person coming out of that situation, going to a church that said apartheid was right, going to schools that merely reinforced those views, it would be very, very odd that such a person would suddenly be totally uninfluenced by the milieu from which he came. And one would have hoped that we could have had a judiciary that said, we are accountable. We are accountable, I mean, despite our independence, and that doesn't affect their independence. And there would have been something that would have made people feel, because I have to say that I have still got to recover a respect for the judiciary of this country, just as myself, as a black person, knowing the collusion that there was between many judges and the government. And let us say that there were judges who didn't do all of those things, but precisely because, and I would say that those who resisted, who spoke out against the unjust laws in their judicial decisions were a minority. The vast majority, in the experience of black people, in our perception, were people who were supportive of the system. And it would have been a wonderful balm to hear some of them say, even collectively, we are sorry that we did not speak out when we could have spoken out. Unfortunately, politicians will look for anything that seems to give them some sort of mileage. And I am sad, actually, to discover that some people whom I had thought did have integrity actually haven't. I mean, they actually tell untruths because the Nationalist Party knows that the TRC had its case ready on Tuesday of that particular week. And we have it on the word of someone that they actually got in touch with the state attorney to say, we hear that you are about to serve papers and we would like to join your action. Now, I mean, one has been very quiet, actually. Now they claim that our case was prepared hurriedly. They know it's a nonsense. I mean, if you look at the annexures that you had to prepare, you can't prepare those hurriedly. We could have served the papers on Tuesday, but we were actually trying to find a way where we would deal with the matter expeditiously, and this would have been by getting, first of all, the matter of service sorted out, and then getting an order by consent. And I'm actually saddened by the low level of integrity that seems to be evidenced by how some political parties dealt with the matter.
So it would be fair to say that your general view of politicians in South Africa is slightly lower now than when you started dealing with them through the Truth Commission.
I would say yes. I am saddened because I believe that each one of us is a saint until the contrary is proven, and I'm a little disillusioned by some of the behavior of some people.
Let's go to the other side of the commission, the reconciliation side. What will you do in your final report, which was due to come out at the end of July?
Yes.
How could, in your view, the final report contribute to that leg of the TRC?
It is crucial for people to understand what reconciliation is. See, many people tend to think of it as being chummy-chummy, as not being confrontational, not saying this is the truth, this is a lie, that you have to make a choice. To seek to have reconciliation on the basis of a lie is to look for a cheap, a spurious reconciliation. And therefore, people mustn't think that the report is going to be one that is soft-pedaling on lies, on awfulnesses. But we are going to try and understand why people took particular positions. Just as an example, not all of us would accept that every option was exhausted before people decided that the only way out was the armed struggle. And those will be points of view that are canvassed in the report. And equally, we will be able to say that whilst most of the world would oppose the actions of the previous government with regard to the liberation movement, we've got to put forward the view that many who supported that government did so believing earnestly and genuinely that they were actually opposing a communist onslaught, that they were Christians, and here was an atheistic group coming across. And we will say, what people may not think we will say. We will criticize different bodies when they require to be criticized. But then we will be saying to the nation, this is, for this period, what we hope will be a common understanding of what happened. And it is important if you are seeking to become one, that you begin to have a common history, a common perspective on what took place.